Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today,
Oh yeah,
after a long time gone, we're making a new series because we're kind of a geography channel and kind of a Minecraft telepathy channel.
we haven't done a Minecraft telepathy in a while. We should do that.
Hopefully we still get views on that. I don't know. This is a trend, so we're gonna do it, and we do know
Minecraft,
geography quite well, so we're gonna try to make it good. This is an alternative future of the world mapped, but with two people. We'll be switching off in the middle of the episode, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
oh yeah,
Starting off, we got the war in Ukraine. Pretty major war over here. It's been going on for actually a while. This is kind of what the borders look like. To be fair, Ukraine has a little bit up here in their offensive, but it's really not much. Right now, it's kind of a stalemate.
yeah.
Ukraine made this push.
Nothing's really going on.
Ukraine made this push, but then they really did not have any more. They weren't really able to anymore. So, after a couple more months of right now, NATO sends some military aid over to Ukraine. They send a lot more than normal. They realize that they need to end this war now because it's becoming too heavy, and the United States because the elections happen, and now the United States really wants everybody to send weapons to Ukraine. Okay?
Okay, so now that's like going on. That's happening.
And not even Trump or Harris won, because I don't want to make anybody mad. Guess who won?
Me.
Why? Why won the election? He's like, people gotta send weapons to Ukraine.
Yeah, and that's what I said.
Yeah, he said that.
And
He
then they
said,
send your weapons to Ukraine.
so then they start sending weapons to Ukraine, and Ukraine makes a surprise offensive now that Russia doesn't realize they have weapons. They start slowly pushing back up over here. They want to retry and capture some of these main cities over here.
Yeah, try and cut like Crimea off from resources, even though they have like a port.
Yeah, but like they don't have basically any naval superiority over here. They could try.
Yes.
They definitely hinder. They have this, but that's
It's
basically it.
gonna be real slow.
They slowly push through, taking little by little until they make a spearhead to cut off Crimea,
Oh yeah.
and even start using the port over here to gain back some water. After they do that, Russia's like, okay, we might need to fight a little bit harder. So they send a lot more troops. They send almost their entire able to be mobilized army, and they start fighting a lot harder than they did last time. They start making offenses up here. Still, Ukraine's push in the north still holds out. And after this, they try a kind of stupid move. Vladimir, he makes not a great move. He tries to connect the borders of the two front lines to get better logistics. So he makes a massive spearhead through here. And he does manage to connect it, but because of that, Ukraine is able to make a massive encirclement on the Russians here. They cut off him from both sides, carving it out. And there is probably around 400,000 Russian troops right here. It's a lot of troops.
That's a lot of troops.
They capture them. And a lot of them die, a lot of them are captured. But basically none make them home, and no supplies did. And especially that they used a lot of their modern day tanks to move through this section to try to get the spearhead. The logistics were just sucky, and they got entirely encircled, and they lost a lot of their military fighting power, at least on land. So because of this, Ukraine realizes this, and they start making a much grander push. They push most of the Russians out of northern Ukraine. They push them out of the south completely, just leaving out Crimea. They keep pushing until it's about a stalemate right here. The only thing that does happen in this about, I'd say, pretty long span of time is Ukraine makes a few more gains up in the northern areas of Russia, kind of scaring them even more, kind of making the morale of the Russian people a lot weaker, knowing that Ukraine is just completely, just entirely more weak than them. And because of this, they move some troops out of Crimea to go reinforce the northern border because they care about Russian homeland a lot more than they do Crimea. So because of that,
Ukraine is now able
Ukraine
to take,
pushes through and takes almost all of Crimea.
except
After
that
after after Russia sees this, they realize that this war is not worth expending any more materials on. Ukraine realizes that they'd never actually be able to fully win this war because they just do not have enough manpower to threaten Russia that badly. So a peace treaty is drawn up where there's a compromise between both sides. As the peace treaties are drawn up, Russia realizes that they don't need all of Crimea to have a warm port, so they only take half of it. Ukraine takes the other half. This border's bad, but it's fine. Both parties are pretty happy. Ukraine keeps all of these borders, and Crimea is split in half. A costly war to barely any endings. Next up, we go over to the Balkans. Who could guess? Who could guess this is gonna happen? I don't know. Who could guess? Yeah. I couldn't have guessed it. I could not have guessed. The attacker this time,
Serbia,
being a good old Serbia. And I think if you know Serbia, they could really attack anybody there, but they're gonna attack their long-lasting rivals, Kosovo. There's been high tensions over here there's been high tensions here the entire time. So they realize that they need to fight. On Kosovo's side comes Albania. And on Albania's side comes Greece. Now this is pretty big news for the idea that, Serbia is now fighting three countries.
Yeah, that's pretty bad for them, I think.
They probably don't want to fight three countries, if I had to take a guess.
Yeah, if I had to guess, they wouldn't want to fight that many countries.
And realistically, they have allies over here, and they're kind of friends with Bosnia a tiny bit. But besides them maybe sending them guns, I don't think anything would realistically happen there. So they're just gonna go to war. And it's going to start with Serbia making a push into Kosovo. And it is not going to be a small push. It's going to be a pretty big one.
Yeah.
It's going to be a pretty big one.
That's a pretty big push.
They take almost half of Kosovo. They do this in all the time that Greece and Albania try to get their men up to the border. They finally do, and the border kind of halts a little bit. Serbia makes one more strong push into Kosovo, taking the majority of the country. They're holding out over here with the hope that their allies will save them, because Kosovo really doesn't have any military, and they can't do much besides that. This is a stalemate for I'd like to say like 2 extra months.
Yeah, not that long.
Until Greece persuades a special nation, a very special nation, to join. North Macedonia.
Oh, shit.
North Macedonia joins. Serbia barely has any troops on this border. They thought it could happen, but they didn't think it was going to happen enough to actually prepare. So they kind of make a breakthrough on the border here. They start pushing quite deep into Serbian lands. They help out Kosovo get the majority of their territory back. And with the just crumbling of the Serbian lines, they're basically able to push quite a far amount here. Making this look a lot less favorable for Serbia. Russia, having Serbia as its only real ally in Europe, starts sending guns in mass through Bosnia, which a little somebody known as Albania does not like that Russia's sending guns through Bosnia. So they make the decision to declare war on Bosnia.
Oh boy.
This is interesting. Serbia now has a new friend, and this is becoming a lot more feisty. You have to always remember that all of these countries are in NATO.
Hmm.
All of these countries are not in NATO, which makes it interesting. And as the United States sees this, it doesn't want to get involved, but as it sees that Bosnia and Serbia are going against its allies in the Balkans, they start mass sending guns. Italy, having pretty close ties to Albania and Greece, also joins the war on the side of them, making this war look even less favorable for Bosnia and Serbia.
Yeah, it's not looking great.
They have no more allies in this region that are going to join their fight, as everybody else is in NATO. So, what do? They go all in and they push very, very, very strongly. They first want to take back the Serbian lands, which they do with very high success.
Exactly. Almost all of it.
Almost all of it. They then start pushing back into Kosovo. This is before Italy really sends any real military support. They're just a little bit scared that all this is happening. They push a little bit further into Kosovoan lands, and they capitulate the country. That's right, they capitulate the country. What does this really mean? It really just means that the entirety of the country is going to go neutral. And in a time of war where this was the only front line besides North Macedonia's tiny sliver over here, kind of means that this might happen for a long time. Italy does not want there to be a massive war in Europe, wearing down its allies, nor does America. So, America steps in. This is kind of a final blow already for Serbia, but they still have their hopes up, I guess. I don't know why they do, but they do.
Yeah, you can never count Serbia out, I guess.
They still kind of have their hopes up. No, that's the wrong color there. Let me just. So now there's no front besides the North Macedonian front, except Bosnia's little water border over here. No other countries in the Balkans want to join it because they don't want to expend their own men on a fight that really doesn't involve them too much. So America has to do it themselves, bring over the entire American military. There's really not much you can do against the entire American military, so
it's over.
Almost they're probably gonna have almost complete success here.
Yeah, not much you can really do.
They make a landing into Bosnia, and they start pushing up, and they want to connect to Serbia, and they start just slithering pretty much down the whole country, trying to connect front lines. They push more up into Bosnia. They finish their sliver, and right now it looks very, very bad for Serbia. All the NATO troops, they push up through here. They encircle troops en masse here. They capture them. They push even more up to Belgrade, and even with the military support or the weapon support of the Russians, they capitulate.
It's pretty much over.
The war ending, a peace treaty is drawn up.
Alright, so now we're down in Venezuela, and this is where things get interesting, because, Venezuela and Guyana, Venezuela wants, Guyana for themselves, right? So Guyana doesn't really have any major allies, or at least I'm pretty sure they don't, because they don't. So Venezuela just does, a pretty big push into Guyana. And, they have a pretty big military, and Guyana is, not as big, so Venezuela is able to pretty easily take control of Guyana. So yeah,
this push all the way through.
They can push down into half of it, the part where they claim they have, but they
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, they push into there and down south a little bit.
Of course.
All right. So they get to about this point, and they're doing pretty good. They have nothing's really going awful for them so far, but Venezuela's pretty unstable, and so they have a bit of a rebellion. They have a bit of an uprising.
Oh no, not good.
That's not good for them. So now they have to deal with this uprising as well as being in Guyana. And all right, so now that this rebellion is happening in Venezuela, they're now they have to like split up their army and go deal with the rebellion, and that's not good for them. So Guyana is actually able to get not all their land, but some of their land back, and so
makes sense. Makes sense.
okay. But after a while, eventually, it kind of reaches a stalemate, and neither side is really like doing anything. Venezuela is eventually able to get the rebellion under control, and they do get and they do have to make like a peace treaty with Guyana because both sides realize that they're not really gonna get anywhere. So
Fully take over the rebellion.
yeah,
Right.
fully take over the rebellion.
Now we see the peace treaty. Alright, welcome back. The peace treaty has been finished.
So yeah, Venezuela basically just got that little section of land in Guyana, and now Guyana is like less land.
Poor Guyana.
Poor Guyana.
Poor Guyana.
Poor
Now,
Guyana.
switching to the alliance map.
This is what we're looking like.
Russia's alliance pretty big over here. Got a lot of land. But
So
now
there's the
they're a little bit scared that Venezuela's going to be attacked. Now that they kind of are been a little bit aggressive, the United States, Brazil, the Rio Pact, they might just come down and kind of control them. Now they might think they might be more aggressive towards Suriname and Guyana even further. So they go ahead
and
they invite
ally.
them. They invite them completely to the faction or their alliance. Seeing this, Guyana and Suriname are very scared because they have no friends. So they go ahead and they join the Rio Pact because they don't really want to die.
Yeah, they don't.
That's understandable. So does Trinidad and Tobago up here. And so does, a little bit surprisingly, Jamaica.
So now Venezuela basically has no friends no friends in their continent. I mean,
Venezuela's been cut off. Ecuador and Bolivia still don't join because they want to maintain neutrality and they don't really think Venezuela is going to be able to get around to them. Nicaragua's another friend of the flipping Russians, so they're still not too.
They have a few friends. They have one friend.
They're still not too scared. But for a big finale to end it off, well, before we get to the big finale, all of these countries in the middle of the Pacific, they join too. If they wanted to. For the big finale, let Wyatt take it. A unification is going to happen over here in Africa. There we go. Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, you gotta take it away.
Alright. So basically what happens, right? The East African Republic, it's been rumored for a while. But basically these countries are deciding, you know what, we have enough in common and whatnot that we're gonna get together. So it's Kenya, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and Tanzania. And they all get together, and they all have a big union.
Yay! Now that the unification has been done, this is a normal mapping move in any videos I've watched. So, to make it unique, something that could actually happen, there's going to be some applicants are sending in some...
Many applicants.
They're sending in requests to join this new union. Lots of countries on the screen right now are not very, they're not very popular. They're not very economically stable. They think joining this new union could help them out a lot. And 2 of them get accepted for now. Finally, Ethiopia and Kenya join. Ethiopia and South Sudan join. Even though there's still many more applications to join this country, this is all that they accept for now. As integrating any more members than 2 members that weren't kind of getting ready for it over the past 20 years would be too much for the growing nation. They officially stretch sea to sea, which is big for them.
This is big. They separate the top half of Africa from the bottom half, north from the south. They're like the middle of Africa.
The middle, they're going to be an astounding force in Africa. They are going to decide a lot what happens here. The Arab League stretching down. They have conflicts with both of these countries, which are in the Arab League. Ethiopia and South Sudan did.
So
So
that
maybe
might
that's
be
a foreshadowing to the next video. You know, we'll see. These
nothing.
countries are
Nothing.
also in the Arab League too. They're just
No spoilers yet.
the big. So thank you guys for coming out to today's video. This is the first duo mapping video I've seen.
On
So
YouTube.
thank you guys, and we'll see you for episode 2, either very soon or never.
Never.
Thank you.
Or in like a month.
Bye. We'll see
Bye.
you next time. Subscribe, like the hit button, hit the
Subscribe
bell
to
button.
me, and I'll
Subscribe
maybe
to
upload
him.
a video
He's in the description. He'll make a video in 5 minutes.
eventually.